r.e.m Beauty, I think, is one of those brands that we just assume is doing well because they continue to release stuff and they're owned by a celebrity, Ariana Grande, right? She's booked and busy, she's in Wicked, you know, she has stuff going on. But something tells me they're not gonna be around for much longer, and by much longer, I'm talking like beauty brand business years, 3-4 years at the most. Okay, so let's talk about this day. Now, this video is obviously called Why No One is Buying r.e.m Beauty. Now, obviously, for those very few people out there who are like, oh, I go to Ulta all the time, or oh, I work in Ulta, people always buy r.e.m Beauty. I don't mean literally no one is buying anything, right? I don't have all the statistics for r.e.m Beauty worldwide. When I say no one's buying this anymore, it's like when people say, oh, no one wears skinny jeans anymore. Of course people do wear skinny jeans anymore, but people say no one's wearing skinny jeans anymore because, I mean, it's out of style, it's not popular, it's not on trend anymore. There's an actual word for it, but I can't remember the word for it. It's like when people say no one wears white after Labor Day. I don't know what Labor Day is. I don't know why they would not wear white, but I've heard people say it. Don't be dense, you know what I mean. Okay, so let's talk about it. I'm going to be doing my makeup as I talk about it. Everything will be linked down below for you. Why is no one buying r.e.m Beauty anymore? Why is it not as popular as, well, was it ever popular thinking about it now? And also, please ignore my eyebrows. I don't know what the hell's going on there. Why is no one buying it? Why are people losing interest? There are a few reasons why, in my opinion. A few things that could be affecting this brand. Let's discuss. But before we get into it, do please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment for the algorithm. Just comment algorithm. Oh, and there's also all my discount codes linked in the description box, always for you as well. Oh, I do also want to say this isn't an attack on Ariana Grande for all her fans out there. Please don't take this as an attack on her talent, her skill, her business mind, nothing like that. It's just some observations. Now, r.e.m Beauty, how did it happen in general? r.e.m Beauty launched in September 2021. It actually feels like longer ago, right? It feels like it's been around for a long time. So singer and actor, I would say, Ariana Grande, who we all know from such things as her music, and actor, she's been in stuff, she's gonna be in stuff. She announced plans to launch her brand, r.e.m Beauty. And the name actually comes from one of her albums, one of her songs, which was r.e.m, R.E.M, I should say, from her 2018 album Sweetener. And r.e.m or R.E.M, I'm going to continue to call it r.e.m, stands for rapid eye movement, for those who don't know, which is like a kind of dream state that occurs when you're asleep. You're kind of in the in-between, but it's when like most of like your dreams occur, right? So r.e.m sleep or R.E.M sleep is when you're kind of like, your brain has similar activity to when you're awake. I actually have an experience with with r.e.m sleep or r.e.m state. Sorry about the lighting change there. So I used to have this thing where I would scream in my sleep, but I was also half awake, so I could like hear myself screaming, because I had rapid eye movement. So you're kind of half awake, half asleep. So when I was dreaming and having, I guess what other people would consider nightmares, but I would just consider like my normal fun dreams, when I would scream in them, I would scream in the dream, but also wake up full on screaming to a point where I would wake up the household. My partner would be next to me, like shook to death because I just screamed at the top of my lungs. But I was half awake, half asleep in that dream period. And I think it might be something to do with your actual eyes or like lighting or something, because when I then wore an eye mask, I actually didn't experience the screaming, and I actually don't do that anymore. I'm past it. No one wakes up screaming in their sleep anymore. So that's my experience with the brand, no, with r.e.m sleep. So just so you get it, it's like a dream state that's also like borderline real life. So for those who don't know, r.e.m actually started off with, or in partnership with, former brands. Now we know former brands because of Morphe, right? That brand that continue to keep fucking up and screwing people over. I have whole videos about them, I'll link those down below. But they're really acting up, they're playing up. So former brands, pretty much Morphe, the umbrella brand that owned Morphe, but I believe was created by the Morphe creators anyway. But they had a few other brands under their umbrella, and r.e.m was one of them, including Morphe. But there was a vision for this brand, right? It wasn't just going to be another celebrity brand, even though it pretty much was, but we'll touch on that. But Ariana herself says she wanted to create a line of high-performing, innovative products, we'll talk about that were accessible to everyone. Accessible in terms of price point, again, we'll touch on later because it isn't the best price point, to be honest, for what the products are. So the first launch from the brand, they called it Chapter 1, and they had like, I believe it was 11, 12 core products. And that launched in November of 2021. And I have to say, from seeing like the launch pictures, right, and some of the more unusual shades in terms of what the products were, like the purple and green highlighters, and then seeing the visuals that were kind of like this 60s, 70s future vision of space, you know, like that very much like, is it called Barbarella? Space-esque kind of situation, right? Like some of the products looked really cute. They looked like they had little space helmets on. I thought it was really exciting looking. Love the theme, love there was a concept behind it as well. The concept behind the packaging. The packaging actually looked in pictures pretty nice. When Ariana Grande announced she was releasing a brand, we were very much still in this era of celebrity brands being launched. It was still kind of not new because a lot had launched already, but it was still like, oh, another celebrity brand, you know, as is still the case now. So it was very much that cross of like, you know, her fans being very excited that the brand was launching and other people being excited too. But then it was also, you know, makeup lovers out there, makeup enthusiasts that were kind of like, another one. Really, another celebrity brand? Do we really need it? Like, we don't need any makeup brands, but you know, that's life. One thing I do really like though, when new brands launches, I love going to Trend Mood, right? And finding the post about the new brand and seeing all the comments, because you get a really good mix of what people think, or you get a really good idea because there's so many people following it, loads of people commenting. You see like influencers commenting, you see consumers commenting, you see people of all ages commenting their thoughts on new releases and new brands and new collections. And one of the common things that people were talking about when they saw this collection was the image of the brand and how they didn't really like it, specifically the packaging. People did not like the packaging. So I managed to find the original post from Trend Mood from when there were like pictures of the products that were released to the public, and let's just say people weren't exactly impressed, right? I'm not gagging, it's giving cash grab, it's giving patchy vibes. But we shall see. Looks lame. Needs a rebrand and it hasn't even launched yet. Love Ariana, but this reminds me of Essence makeup. For those who don't know, Essence is an extremely affordable drugstore brand. I know people will buy for her, but it looks cheap. Honestly, the eyeshadow palette reminds me of like Revlon or something I saw at Target. I have to agree with the eyeshadow palette. It did look at drugstore, mainly because of the lines. So there was disappointment initially when it came to the packaging. And listen, I'm a believer in you can judge before you've used a makeup product, because packaging is a big deal of a makeup product. And I think there's been so many like releases and all this kind of stuff that we kind of know and we kind of get the gist of what some products are going to be like, what the formula is going to be like, what the texture is going to be like, how the color is going to perform. Nothing tends to be really new nowadays, you know? But even when the brand eventually launched, there was still kind of mixed reviews. There was some disappointment, some people loved it, and then others just kind of like tolerated the brand. They thought, you know, it wasn't amazing, it's not the worst. Were they expecting more from a celebrity brand? Absolutely. Was anyone, you know, influenced to gasping at the products? Was anyone like obsessed with the products? No.
Now, why I'm a little bit conflicted is because I feel like I loved the lip products, which is funny because when I was reading about the brand, it was like a lot about the eyes, but I feel like the lip products were a slam dunk. The eyeshadows, I'm kind of not here or there on them. I would definitely not need them in my collection, but if you're like a super fan, then I totally get the excitement.
The highlighter, I like the packaging, I like the color a lot, I like the way that it looks and the imprint. I definitely expected this to be more of a gelée formula or something like that, but I find this to be quite a bit powdery. So I'm gonna keep using this because maybe applying it lighter or really buffing it into the skin will help with that. But I've kind of used my tricks that I feel like I normally use for highlighters, and I didn't particularly love it. It's not the worst. It's not like the worst highlighter ever. It's just when I'm thinking of like the things I love in highlighters, the ones that make like the tippity top of my list of like faves, this doesn't have those qualities.
Shimmers in the palette were a little too powdery for me, and if I could do without having to buy the palette, like I would completely skip it. Definitely like this mist. I still feel like it's giving more eucalyptus than lavender, but that's just me.
Now, I did try this brand when it launched, and personally I was expecting Morphe quality products, and Morphe quality is what we got from the products, to be honest. If you think about Morphe like as a brand, their products, right, their packaging isn't necessarily the most expensive feeling. It's not like luxe feeling in any way. It does feel quite cheap, and their, you know, their prices used to reflect that too. With the hair, which is fine, because a lot of the time you're not paying for the packaging, you're paying for the product itself. But if we're getting Morphe quality in pretty terrible packaging, then what are we paying for, you know? The products weren't terrible. They weren't bad at all. They were fine. They knew how to, you know, make some very exciting shades, and that was kind of exciting. And even now they do make some pretty interesting looking shades and some interesting looking products. I'll give them that. But the disappointment from a lot of people, it was kind of obvious, especially when we see like better releases from celebrity brands who are making better products at the time, Rare Beauty, Fenty, and then you see launches like this from r.e.m Beauty. It's a bit like, oh. And it can stand by itself. It is a good brand, but naturally we're going to make comparisons, especially when it's a celebrity beauty brand, right? With all the launches and all the releases from celebrity beauty brands recently, we're going to compare. Like, this celebrity did this quality at this price point. And also we're going to compare it to most makeup brands really also as well. r.e.m Beauty is good in comparison. It's not great, but it's good. I mean, let's not make it all terrible, right? Let's talk about some noteworthy products from r.e.m Beauty that are actually really, really decent. One of them in particular, one of my favorites from them, is their concealer. I wasn't expecting much from the brand when it came to complexion products, especially after what we had in terms of what was being released from the brand. But I was very, very pleasantly surprised with the concealer. It sat really nicely under the eyes. It looked beautiful. It looked like skin. And I always keep saying to myself, you need to reuse it because it was really great, and I never do. It also has a great shade range, including a black and white that are made for shade mixing. It's not Euphoria. They're not pretending their skin tones. And also their satin matte blush powders. They are beautiful. Really, really nice on the skin. Again, great shades, and they just sit really nicely on top of makeup, on top of foundation. They just do what a blush should do, really. Where is that fly? Now, as a lot of us know, this isn't Ariana's first venture into beauty in any way. She's very, very successful within the fragrance industry, or the fragrance sector of the beauty industry. I remember once I was at Superdrug Presents, which is this huge beauty, like almost convention-like deal that happens once a year with the drugstore Superdrug here in the UK. And I was walking around and I just smelled this incredible fragrance. I was like, somebody smells amazing. It smelled high-end, it smelled luxury. I have a thing with fragrance where I'm very sensitive to fragrance, right? Something really heavy and horrible, whether it's high-end or whether it's drugstore, can give me horrible headaches, make me feel sick. I'm very like, oh, that smell reminds me of this one time I threw up, and then it would just kill me for the rest every time I smell that smell. But I smelled it and I was like, what is that? And I kind of looked around, and there was the Ariana Grande stall sounds cheap. It was this whole area, and it was one of their fragrances. I think it was their like cloud something. I can't remember. Don't quote me on that. And that was the fragrance I was smelling. That was a smell. Beautiful. And her fragrances are very, very highly praised. Like, people love them. For an example on her fragrance's success, right? One of her fragrances cloud. One bottle of this fragrance sells every 11 seconds. That's how popular her fragrances are. And that, along with all her other fragrances, I think there are 25 fragrances within her brand altogether selling all the time. It is a very, very successful venture for her. And even the perfumers and fragrance experts that have worked on her brand have worked for super high-end fragrance companies, fragrance brands, and celebrity brands. Sarah Jessica Parker, for example, and one of my favorite brands, Byredo, which just have the most incredible fragrances. I need to read this. According to UK platform Hey Discount, I think I put that in wrong. Ariana Grande's fragrance line is the most searched celebrity offering, with 4.4 million searches across Google and social media platforms per a year. Billie Eilish trails in at number 2 spot with just 1.3 million. It's also said that Ariana herself is really involved in the making of these fragrances. From the packaging to the fragrance itself, she is involved the whole way, which a lot of us question when it comes to like some celebrity brands or other celebrity ventures. We're kind of like, oh, how much was the actual celebrity whose name is on this product actually involved in the product itself? So it isn't like Ariana is unsuccessful when it comes to knowing what draws in a beauty crowd, especially for products she has worked very closely on. There's a fly in here and it is doing my head in, so sorry if you see it flying around behind me. So considering all the success from these other business ventures, what went wrong with r.e.m Beauty? Why is it just okay? One reason is the comparison game, right? We have to compare it to the other celebrity brands that are kind of like launching around the same time or within a few years. Like I said, r.e.m Beauty launched at a point where everyone was kind of getting tired of celebrity brand launches now. There wasn't that excitement of, oh, what's a celebrity makeup brand gonna look like? What can they bring, considering their characteristics, their brand in general? How are they gonna convey that in a makeup brand, a beauty brand? What does my favorite celebrity look like as a beauty brand, you know? So we've already seen it done well, and we've seen it done bad too. So when we compare r.e.m Beauty to other celebrity brands, Rare Beauty, Fenty, it does kind of look like a bit of a crossover, you know, Claire's and r.e.m Beauty. It doesn't look as, not that it has to, but you can make something look higher end than it is, but they seem to make it look kind of cheap, and it's not exactly drugstore prices. We look at Rare Beauty, for example, and it does in a way have a higher end feel to it. We look at Fenty and it has more of a modern pro feel to it. You know what I mean? Like a playful pro theme feel, sorry, in terms of the packaging and the way it is. You look at r.e.m Beauty and it looks almost child friendly. Although I do like the packaging, right? But to me, it doesn't make sense if it's not alongside the visuals of Ariana herself that went with a brand, right? But altogether, the theme looks great. Like, you go on the website and the products like float a little bit, like it's in space, you know, it all makes sense all together. But when you look at it by itself, you're like, this is silver plastic. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely a niche for like themed collections, playful brands. But this is a brand coming from someone who, you know, we know exists, we know what they're like, we know their personalities, well, what they convey to us in public. So not only do we expect a certain standard, but we've been unfortunately fed so much makeup throughout the years, and especially celebrity brands, we kind of expect things to be better than. It doesn't have to be, but we expect it sometimes. So you can't release something that is lesser than compared to everything else. The whole deal as well with Forma and Morphe. Let's go into that. So we know r.e.m started with Forma, basically Morphe. I think at the time, Morphe was a successful, bigger name within the beauty space. They hadn't closed all their stores yet. There was none of this drama going on. So they were a good brand to kind of partner with, an experienced brand who kind of you could look at and be like, okay, they kind of know what they're doing. They've proven they could sell stuff. So when shit hit the fan with Morphe, when they started closing their stores, when they weren't doing as well as they thought they were doing, obviously it must have struck some concern into r.e.m, and this brings me into another point. I think people assume, right, like with umbrella brands, or when a brand is made in the same factory as another brand, I think they assume it is the same product in different packaging with the same name, for example. So they're like, r.e.m is repackaged Morphe in different packaging. I keep saying packaging. That's not correct though. I see why somebody who perhaps doesn't know much about makeup production, beauty production would think that, but that's not the case. You can make different formulations and different qualities in the same factory. But perhaps people weren't a fan of Morphe quality, and when they saw that the brand was linked in a way to Morphe, they were kind of like, oh, maybe I won't try that. Maybe I won't bother using that because it's not the kind of quality I like or the kind of quality I'm used to. And maybe people didn't want to pay a higher price for what they thought was repackaged Morphe products, which it kind of was. It kind of felt the same. So in February 2023, when Morphe started going crazy and what's it called? Something brands, former brands started to lose everything. r.e.m, I need to read this number, r.e.m Beauty brought themselves out from Former for 15 million. And then after that, their products went exclusively to Sephora in Europe, and I believe it's in Ulta and other places. There was some kind of drama moment, right? Which is very... It was thought that Ulta might be dropping r.e.m Beauty as a brand because of some drama with Ariana's boyfriend then. I don't know if it is still now. Don't really care. Please no one feel they have to explain this to me because I don't, it's not really the whole point. It's not the main point I want to get to. But basically, Ariana Grande met this guy on the set of Wicked who played, I need to read the name, Bok. He was playing a munchkin called Bok, right? It's the same guy who plays SpongeBob SquarePants on Broadway. She became friends with him and his wife and would hang around with him a lot, all this other stuff. They were good friends. They had a child together. And then they got divorced, and people were basically upset because they were saying, oh, and then him and Ariana Grande got together, and people were upset because they were saying things like, oh, Ariana split them up, all this kind of stuff. And it was all Ariana's fault, even though it takes two to tango. Anyway, the point I want to get to is this is the reason why people thought Ulta were going to drop r.e.m.
Ariana Grande is finally going to feel the consequences of her actions because allegedly Ulta Beauty wants to get rid of their contract with her and r.e.m Beauty. According to Dumois, an anonymous tipper sent in on good authority that multiple high-ups in the company want to terminate the contract with Ariana and r.e.m Beauty as a result of the Ariana, Ethan, Dalton drama. They say it's a bad look for the company and that they've had multiple stores where the r.e.m Beauty displays have been vandalized. Ulta Beauty's image is very pro-women and pro-girls, and Ariana is not that. Allegedly, in her place, they might be bringing in Drew Barrymore's Flower Beauty. We'll have to wait and see if this is actually true.
Ulta are considering a termination of their contract.
Hey guys, I am a brand manager and specifically work on all things CPG. I actually want to break this down for you of what is happening with r.e.m Beauty, starting from all of the drama that has been happening. From a retailer's lens, they are looking at a couple of things. When they accept products into their retailer, they're thinking about the value that it brings into their consumers because they themselves have a target market that they want to specifically focus on. They're also looking for products that, gain a lot of profitability for them. So they're looking at the gross margins and what essentially works for them when it comes to the portfolio that they have. So in the beauty and skincare world, obviously the market is very saturated, so they have a lot of things to pick from. What is happening with r.e.m Beauty is not really good timing for them at all. This is when reset dates happen. So reset dates for retailers are essentially a time period where they discontinue products, they swap products out, or they innovate within that specific aisle and just take new products. And they do it all by brand, they do it by segment and by category depending on who the retailer is. So obviously here it's, saying that Ulta is going to discontinue r.e.m Beauty. So right now, the best sign for that is exactly what they said. They're marking down the products and putting them in a very big sale. If it's 50% off, yeah, that is gone. Obviously, there could be other factors to it. Maybe they are, r.e.m Beauty is trying to figure out the best pricing and they're marking it down 50%, or they're trying to get rid of inventory of that product because new product is coming in that could have new packaging or a new formula. But I don't know. Based off of everything that is going on, I just have a feeling that that's not the case at all and they're just removing it entirely. Not too sure. But this is why I love brand management. There's so many things that go into it. You touch everything. I know I've said this before in different videos, but from the supply chain side of things, the forecasting, the finances, And then obviously you have like that retailer story. So you're working closely with the trade team or the sales team to sell in your brand to that retailer. All right, hope this helps. Bye.
As of today, I'm filming this in August 2024, but I think you're going to be seeing this in September. r.e.m is still up on the Ulta website. It's still full price. It's still there available for you to get. So I guess that rumor wasn't true, unless they're still working on it. Now, you all know I kind of quite like to come up with ideas for brands when they are going the shitter a little bit, right? Or perhaps they aren't doing it as well. Here's my idea for r.e.m, right? Restructure completely. This is no longer going to be a makeup brand. Well, it is, but you'll see. We are going to discontinue all the products. I'm sorry. r.e.m is going to reformulate, it's going to restructure. This isn't what's actually happening. This is my idea. And we are going to be doing capsule collections. Like what Kylie Jenner's clothing brand was meant to be, limited edition capsule collections. So matching every single fragrance, because there's 25, right? A capsule collection that ties in with a fragrance. So, for example, you have a fragrance. In that capsule collection that is sold for maybe a year or half a year, with that fragrance, you have a few drops maybe throughout the years if you want to, but you have a lip product, whether that be a balm, a gloss, maybe you have 4 different ones so you can choose 4 different colors. Packaging is going to match with, packagings and names are going to match with a fragrance. You perhaps have a lip balm holder, that's a thing. Nowadays, a keychain lip balm or something like that, or an accessory that matches a product. Perhaps it's a mirror, perhaps it's a limited edition lipstick case that you can change the lipstick. You know, you can pop the different lipstick in the different cases as you go. And you can also do some limiteds throughout the year, right? Like you can do a Valentine's Day special edition version of a fragrance and have the packaging a little bit different, and you can have a capsule collection alongside that. Of course, your holiday set as well, you know, an advent calendar you can do with all the little bits in, limited edition Christmas fragrance. Create that need to collect, create that want for people to get the limited products when they can, while they can. True fans of Ariana will be looking to buy these things as well. But also you're bringing in a different crowd to your makeup. You're bringing in the perfume crowd, the fragrance crowd, who maybe aren't interested in your makeup products, but you're releasing things that everyone uses. Lip balm, hand cream. You know what I mean? I do think they need to do something a little bit more exciting. And I do think with a Wicked movie coming up, obviously r.e.m are going to do something with that. Maybe that might boost some sales, but it is just getting a little bit stagnant, to be honest with you, and nothing is exciting about the brand. Like I say with every brand that isn't lasting recently, where's your hero product? Your product that everyone goes back to your brand to buy over and over and over again. MAC Fix Plus, for example. Rare Beauty Soft Pinch Blush, NARS's Orgasm Blush. Those products that are known within that brand, those star products. Those ones that stand out, that everyone goes to a brand for. The one that always is out of stock because everyone always wants it. Where is that from r.e.m Beauty? But I think r.e.m as we know it, no one is excited about it anymore. No one's waiting for the next drop. You don't see like loads of reviews every time something comes out. No one's like dying to get the products. Why is it sold out? You know, why can't I get it? No one is eagerly awaiting the new launches. I don't even think the brand is anymore. Okay, well, let me know your opinions down below. Is there anything from r.e.m Beauty that you cannot live without? Let me know in the comments. Let me know your opinions as always. Thank you so much for being here. Do consider subscribing. Give this video a thumbs up. I think I just saw Fly in the background. And I will see you very soon. Bye.